Welcome everybody to Class Redacted, an emergency episode in fact, but this is still the show where we delve deep into the terrifying world of all things SCP, focusing on the more unknown parts of the universe as to the big important parts, but we'll still be covering each of them with the same amount of depth that we do. I am your host Ritley, once again joined by two of my wonderful, wonderful guests, but before we get into the topic of this episode, I just want to say that a big thank you, basically, to everyone who's been giving this small little project of us for us a chance, and who has been, watching the videos, commenting, giving some feedback and stuff. It all helps out a lot, and we keep trying to basically we keep trying to make this the best we can, because we're basically the only guys that are doing this on SCP YouTube. The only other really we're the only guys really that get or cover SCP as literature and not only do readings or are focused on lore and storytelling, but we just like to talk about the cool fucking shit that SCP has, and it's pretty cool. If you might have heard that, yes, only two guests today. V couldn't make it. He is currently out of his country on holiday, but we had to do the emergency episode without him because it's a pretty big emergency. But Silver and Benz are still here. They're still present.
Oh.
Yep, they're still here. Why is this an emergency episode? Number one, title, of course. But, yeah. After we did Scarlet King, I was like, okay, I have this big topic in my head, and I want to cover it. And I was like, yes, I'm gonna research this. And I researched it a lot. It is a lot of research. I plan to make that. That's probably gonna be our big project, our first big project. But then I was like, oh wait, it's July 2nd. The fucking SCP-6000 contest is over. And I checked the wiki, and I see, well, the SCPs are already here. And SCP-6000 is here. So I read it, and then I was like, okay, these 15 pages I have prepared for our big project, they have to wait. We have to talk about this shit now. And this is why we're doing this currently, because, title, we're talking about SCP-6000 and the wonderful, wonderful article that it is. However, since this article is only, at the time of recording this video, around 2 weeks old, the other guys have not read it yet. They are totally blind to what they're getting themselves into here. They only know the title, and I think I've sent Silver one picture.
Yes.
And that's basically all they know about SCP-6000, and it was written around their house, which is, of course, it always says something when there's a certain name on SCP, like DJ Cactus with this weird fucking Look, SCP-6666, go watch the Exploring Series video. I will not be doing that for this time. His video is an hour and a half long. You can go watch that. Maybe later, when we talk about the Cactus verse. Maybe later, but not now.
Cactus verse.
It is on Twitter. It is referred to as the Cactus verse.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, Cactus's things are so the best post I've heard is that DJ Cactus makes the Marvel movies of SCP, where there's just everyone is fucking here and everything comes together, and it takes 4 goddamn hours to analyze the article. Yeah, that is a headache for another day. Right now, it's 6000 time. So, are you excited?
Yes.
To learn about
very much.
6000?
Let's go.
It's gonna be great. So, well, and without further ado, let us talk about SCP-6000, also known as the Serpent, the Moose, and the Wanderer's Library. Let me set the stage. By order of the Overseer Council, the following file is Level 4, 6000, classified. Unauthorized access is forbidden. Submit for retinal ID confirmation. Welcome back, Director Moose. Notice from the Foundation Records and Information Security Administration, or RISA. The following 2 file revisions were found in the SCP-6000 slot when it was automatically pre-generated as an empty placeholder by the SCIPnet on June 25th, 2022. No file history was available. Due to the content therein and the questionable circumstances of its discovery, the O5 Council has elected to leave this file unaltered. None of the events that follow have occurred, and coordinates listed as the location of SCP-6000 contain nothing of note. A message from Maria Jones, director of RISA. Already starting off ominous. Already starting off with the weird, these files do not exist, but they do exist.
Yeah.
Already getting into the weird part. But of course, we have the 2 revisions, and I will be starting with the first revision. Revision 0235, made on January 7th, 2030. So around 8 years in the future from when this Director Moose character accesses these articles. So, when we open SCP-6000, we are greeted to a big fucking letter, or a big header, known as, and I've learned how to pronounce this, Project Fusillade. It is a French word, and I hope I pronounced it correctly for this entire episode. But this is, we get this. Okay, but let me introduce the file. Item number, SCP-6000. Object, class, Keter. So, we have a Keter SCP on our hands. And the special containment procedures say that SCP-6000 is to be concealed as best as possible. Any information regarding SCP-6000 has to be classified and kept from the public at all costs. If any unauthorized personnel enter something called the exclusion zone, which we'll be talking about a little bit later, they are to be removed from the perimeter if needed with aggression and force. If they perceive SCP-6000 in any way, they are subject to immediate Class A amnetic treatment. So the Foundation really does not want this thing to be known by the public. This thing. Now, what is this thing that we're talking about here? It is not probably what you think it's gonna be. SCP-6000 is a gigantic dimensional rift located in the Amazon rainforest in Brazil. It is a quote, Class W transportation gateway, or also known as a way. So you might already know where this is going.
Oh yeah, sounds fun already.
It's
at the time of this article, it measures 19 kilometers in diameter and affects a lot of the Amazon rainforest basin. The area around this way has been dubbed the exclusion zone and is to be secured by Foundation personnel. The exclusion zone is placed in an 8-kilometer diameter around SCP-6000. So we have a 19-kilometer fucking gigantic portal, and then 8 kilometers more is the exclusion zone that is monitored by the Foundation. How they managed to hide an 8-kilometer fucking gigantic military zone is beyond me, but it's the Foundation, so they figured it out somehow. SCP-6000 is rapidly growing in size and at a very unstable rate. Local plant and animal life that are inside SCP-6000 get affected by various anomalous properties, and the larger it gets, the more noticeable these effects become. However, in a raid inside SCP-6000, there was a... let me actually get a picture of SCP-6000 in, so that you can see what I'm getting at here. This is how it looks. It's gigantic, like, neon rainbow dimensional portal in the Amazon rainforest. It's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome.
It's kind of hard to hide.
Oh yeah, definitely, but the Foundation manages it somehow.
looks like a sideways nether portal.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's basically what it is. It's a gigantic portal. However, like I said, in a raid that was made inside the SCP-6000 zone, they recovered an entity known as SCP-6000-A, which is a half-human, half-serpent creature. This is how it looks. It was discovered in a cult site around various human corpses, and with weird, like, religious engravings on stones nearby. It was found in a comatose state, recovered by the Foundation, and brought into Foundation custody as soon as possible. Its connection to SCP-6000 and why it was found in the zone is currently under investigation, and it is currently held in Foundation custody, like I said, in a comatose state. SCP-6000, now for the fucking obvious part, SCP-6000 connects baseline reality with the Wanderer's Library. Dubbed NX001, we'll just be using library because it's obvious. Also, if you don't know about the Wanderer's Library, we did an entire episode on that and the Serpent Hand. It is currently our most watched episode, so go watch it. If you don't know about the library and the Serpent Hand, go watch that episode. It's pretty good. It's one of my favorites we've ever done. So go watch that and then come back to this one so that you can understand a lot of what we're talking about here, because it's getting very confusing very soon. But this article also shines a little bit of light on the history of the Wanderer's Library, because the library was discovered by the Foundation in early 1995 in a raid on a Serpent's Hand warehouse where they found this gigantic fucking portal. However, the library is believed to be an insanely important place during the development of the entire human history. It is hypothesized that many of the great scientific minds, like fucking Isaac Newton, Nikola Tesla, like these kinds of people, got the knowledge that they used to push humanity forward from the library or disciples of the library that brought them the literature. So it's the library is basically responsible for humanity's existence. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty big deal. It's an even bigger deal than I initially anticipated. So yeah, SCP-6000 first appeared on December 21st, 2030. Satellite images displayed a visual anomaly in these like Amazon rainforest basin, and an MTF reconnaissance team was immediately dispatched to that location. And this is where the main file of SCP-6000 ends. This is what 6000 is. It's a gigantic fucking portal that connects our world to the Wanderer's Library. And the Foundation now wants to figure out why that is and what that weird snake lady has to do with all of this. Now we get into the addendums of the article. There are 8 addendums in total. I will be going through all of them. And we will start with Addendum 6001, or the Wanderer's Library Debriefing. I will be going through this one a lot faster than previously, because we already did a whole episode on the Wanderer's Library. But just to recap, Wanderer's Library, extra-dimensional Y-space that the Foundation discovered, gigantic library in like the limbo sphere, like the dimension between dimensions, connects all dimensions together, and place of all knowledge, every single book from every single dimension is stored inside that library. Like, quick recap, just to get you up to speed again. Details, go watch our episode. The library is maintained by these guys called the Librarians, which are modified humanoids in like these robes with some tattoos on them. Basically, they're not really they're not explained a lot, but all that we know is that they maintain the rules of the library. They keep everything in check. So it's kind of like the Dawsons that we talked about in the library episode, like these no-mouth guys that like patrol the hallways, kind of like those people. People that break the rules are turned into librarians themselves because they are forced to quote-unquote work off their debt. So, yeah, okay, yeah, not very nice of them, but I mean it makes sense. But you know,
Yeah.
The library is, of course, closely connected to the Serpent Hand. Serpent Hand, you know them. They like anomalies. They want to set them free. They think that the Foundation doesn't do good things by jailing them. You know how Serpent Hand go. Serpent Hand, they like SCPs a lot, and they don't like the Foundation, and they hate the GOC, etc., etc., etc. Many attempts of the Foundation and the GOC to get into the library were made. All have failed. But they're still trying to get into it regardless because of its incredible importance to human history. However, the library right now is not as aggressive towards the Foundation, at least, than it was in the past. They have kind of loosened their stance a little bit with the Foundation. So the Serpent's Hand talks, and the library will talk to Foundation agents. They will not attack them on sight. They will talk. They will reason, but they still have like an aggressive undertone, like kind of that vibe going on. Like they don't like them, but they're not like die instantly. If that makes sense.
Passive aggressive.
Yeah, kind of passive aggressive. That's a good way to put it. Towards the Foundation. Still hating GOC. Still not big fan of GOC. That hasn't changed. But at least the Foundation.
Understandable.
Yeah, understandable. But the Foundation is kind of on a better stance than they were previously. However, during the SCP-6000 discussion, a certain character, a certain personnel member, was pulled because of her extensive knowledge about the library, which is actually a very big character, the director of Site 19, a Dr. Tilda Moose. Site 19 director, very, very big character, very important woman she is. And she has a lot of knowledge on the library and the Serpent's Hand because she was an ex-member of the Serpent's Hand.
Huh?
In fact, she's ex-Serpent's Hand, or dubbed a Type Blue entity by the GOC. And although she has, quote-unquote, betrayed the Serpent's Hand and was exiled from the library a few years ago. This is her. This is the girl. This is the woman we talked about. That's still the Moose. Looking like a fucking Stanford Foundation employee, actually. The people who are old at the Foundation are the ones that are most important because the young ones usually die.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, if you get recruited as an MTF at like a young age, you're not making it out of there unless you're a really, really, really good MTF. Because the Foundation will just throw you at the problem and hope that you do something. Or D-Class. They just die. Because that's what D-Class do. They die. But yeah, regardless. Tilda, very important character. Very important girl. And she has made, before SCP-6000, she has made a little bit of a statement, of an excerpt from one of her briefings. And I will quote her describing the library. Extra-dimensional is the technical term, though not very descriptive. The library isn't on our world, though it's connected to it in some way. You reach it through ways. Ways are like a network, basically magic portals that take you from one place to another, scattered around the world. A way can be anything. You can picture as a door, or anything like a door, a cave, an archway, the back of a truck, everything like this. Some of them are just art pieces. I once used a picture of a door to enter a library, back when I still could. Yeah, I used to be a library goer. That was a long time ago, though, back when I ran with other groups. I suppose it's otherworldly is the best way to put it. Nothing quite compares to the architecture and the decorations of the library. But, like, they're not alive per se, but they're mutable, always changing. When I frequented, the place was on an Art Deco kick. You could look up and see the constellations on a false ceiling forming. That all ended when I joined the Foundation, however. The library does not like us, to say the least. Especially not me. No, I would not like to talk about it. Moving on. That is her description and her excerpt from her briefing on how she was when she was a library goer. So she was a pretty important. So she knows more about the library than anyone else in the Foundation. The only other guys are maybe the bibliographers MTF, because their whole deal is to find Serpent's Hand members. They're also currently searching for LS, but you can never find LS because he's LS and you can't catch him. But yeah, that is setting up Tilda Moose as a character now. Next addendum, Addendum 6000.2, or the initial encounter. So the addendum starts with an unexplained event report. This is taking place on December 21st, so the exact day that the 6000 was discovered. It is currently only 0.5 kilometers in length. It's very, very small. And immediately when they discovered it, the MTF Stigma-Free, the bibliographers, were dispatched because the reconnaissance team that was sent out previously, if you can remember, they stopped broadcasting. And so Foundation's like, oh well, gotta get the bibliographers in. So they sent a Foundation MTF unit to check out what's going on. They made their way into SCP-6000 and they found the gear of the reconnaissance team, but not the people. People were gone, but their gear was still there. A little bit later, they found 12 human corpses in weird robes around a ritual circle, like a circle, lying in a circle. In the center was SCP-6000-A, that weird snake lady that I posted earlier. They recovered it, and they transferred it to Facility 57, which is the research facility very close to 6000, the main research base of operations. Stigma-free was later joined by Director Moose herself, because she wanted to see this thing with her own eyes. And so, the fire team of 4 MTF Stigma-free members investigated SCP-6000. I will not read the entire log, the entire incident log, but I will basically tell you this. They have discovered they've made their way through the foliage and then discovered trees. These trees basically were turning into bookshelves. Like the tree bark had like bookshelves in them and books stored in them. The leaves were like pages of books. They were like words inscribed on them. They were falling down and you could read like pages of stories. So basically the library and our world were like kind of interconnecting and like kind of merging into one, basically.
You can kind of see that on the snake lady picture.
Up there, like the bookshelves and the leaves falling down. Yeah, you can see that how the library kind of overtakes our reality. A few moments later, they discovered what looked like the entrance of SCP-6000, that big like rainbow glitch-looking portal where they could actually look inside the library. That it was actually like the dimension of the library. They went closer to it and then heard a very loud noise in the trees. They formed a defensive position and then waited for some time. And then a library member was not very happy that they've went into the library. And it is in fact an archivist. And if you can remember what the archivists are, let me quickly find a picture.
Are those the spider ones?
No, it is the giant red centipedes.
Oh yeah,
those are archivists. And this fucker started climbing down a tree, and it was not happy that the Foundation was inside the library. So let me excerpt a little bit from the incident log, what was captured on camera. A massive red millipede passes between 2 shelves ahead, ignoring Chicago. Its pincers skitter. Chicago 1 screams out towards the entity. It turns to Chicago and screeches, slamming its pincers together. A feminine hiss is heard. The voice says, "I see your intentions. Begone, jailers." Several Class 3 librarian entities clamber over the tops of the shelves. They're humanoid arachnids with elongated bodies, 4 eyes, additional limbs. Those were the spiders that you were talking about. Instead, they're now here.
Oh fuck!
They were the uniforms of the reconnaissance team that was lost. So they were turned into fucking spiders.
Oh no!
The librarians begin descending the shelves and advancing. Chicago begins to move backwards, closer to SCP-6000. Chicago turns and runs towards SCP-6000, several dozens of meters away. The librarians drop to the ground and lope along in pursuit, considerably faster but much farther away. One catches up and tackles Chicago 4, bringing him to the ground. Chicago 2 draws her handgun from the other side and fires inside of the NX-001 or the Wanderer's library. Chicago 3 turns and rushes to aid him, punching the librarian in the fucking jaw. Several Class 2 librarian hooded entities, several meters high, holding lanterns round the corner. Chicago 3 turns to Chicago 1 and screams for them to run. Chicago 1 turns around with librarians less than a meter behind them, throwing himself into SCP-6000, just as 2 AH-1Z Viper attack helicopters from MTF Delta 45 Rolling Thunder swoop into the clearing, laying suppressive missile fire near SCP-6000. Chicago 1 and 2 are repelled up and safely recovered. Yeah. Jesus. So library not very happy that the Foundation is treading on their turf. Also fucking Delta 45 with fucking attack helicopters just bombed the fucking place.
Yeah.
Understandable, to be honest.
Yeah, I was a little fun fact. I was actually wondering why this isn't New 7, because New 7 are the people that blew everything up. New 7 does not have any aerial vehicles. They're just ground based. So, and Delta 45 is the aerial MTF unit. It's not well known, but they're called Rolling Thunder. It's pretty fitting.
Holy shit.
Yeah, they're called Rolling Thunder, right? They just got 2 fucking attack helicopters and like fucking missile bombed the library.
Carpet nuked them.
Yeah, basically. But like I said, yeah.
Also, from what I understand, they didn't go like inside the library. They still stayed inside the forest.
3 of them. Chicago 3 was.
I see.
The Chicago 1 yeeted himself inside the portal, so he made it into the library. But the other one, Chicago 4 died in the attack. No. What's Chicago 4? No, yeah, Chicago 4 died in the attempt in the battle. 1 and 2, so Till the Moose and Adam McMillan were the names. They 2 got out, and Agent Flores was the Chicago 3 who got into the library. So one's in the library, one's dead, 2 are out.
But there were like creatures from the library outside it. So
yes. The archivists and the pages, the spider creatures, were outside the library, and in our dimension.
It's like the library is expanding into our universe.
Exactly. Yes, that is kind of what is happening. After this experience, the Foundation said, "Okay, the library is very hostile, so we need to do something about this. The library does not like us anymore. They used to like us, like they were kind of losing their stance. Now they're just attacking us on sight. So we have to do something about this." And this is when Chicago 1 and 2, so Till the Moose and Adam McMillan, were evacuated and brought into the Containment Response team for SCP-6000. And the next addendum is exactly what this entails. Addendum 3 is about the containment responses. After the aggressive response from the library, some containment procedures were drafted. And on December 23rd, SCP Overwatch Command. So basically, the kind of Overwatch Command is the O5 Council's like messenger. Like they communicate on behalf of the O5 Council. I think also Law's left hand, the MTF unit that is like next to the O5 Council, is also there. I think they do this, but I'm not quite sure. They authorized the containment procedure of SCP-6000, and the operation was called Project Fusillade. Fusillade is a French word and is called shootout. So it's Project Shootout, basically, between Foundation and Library. The proposed containment for Project Fusillade has also been... they are here, and I will read them all. The designation of Facility 57 as official containment facility of SCP-6000. The construction of a fence around the exclusion zone to defend wildlife and travelers. The requisition of resources for the long-term study of SCP-6000. The arrest of known cells of Serpent's Hand members. And the authorization of members of Stigma-3 to aggressively seek out members, to seek out means of combating the Wanderer's Library. So they're basically starting for a war on the library. They're preparing for war, basically, is what is going on here. These containment procedures were then voted on by the O5 Council. O5-6 and O5-8 abstained, and O5-4 said no, but everyone else said yes. So the decision went 10-3, and it was approved. Shortly after these containment procedures were enacted, SCP-6000-A woke up from her coma. That snake lady actually woke up. She attacked the researchers on site, but was able to be subdued, and now into Foundation custody in a containment cell. Director Moose was authorized to conduct an interview with SCP-6000-A, and this is the first interview we will be looking at right now. I'm going to be paraphrasing it because it's a long interview, but basically, Director Moose asks the Serpent what she remembers. And it's a lot of cryptic things about, the library. She can't remember anything about it, etc., etc. But what she has been saying is the last part, and I will read that out. So, SCP-6000, after being questioned about the library, says, yes, she walked among the shelves and saw the dozens and read every single story she wanted, but she came across a problem. Every story ended. Some were short, some were long, but they all came to an end sooner or later. Moose asks what's the problem with stories having an ending. SCP-6000 says it wasn't, not really. But she couldn't stop thinking about the end of the stories, and one question always was ringing out. What happens after? Did the characters struggle against their end? Or was it a calm affair? After more questions from Director Moose, SCP-6000-A ended the interview by saying, I don't really know, but I'm still sorting out the stories. I simply can pick which seems relevant. But I go look for the Serpent's hand. That helped the girl. Maybe they can help you. The girl is actually, she's referring to like a different entity that she can remember inside her dreams. It's very weird, but main thing, search out Serpent's hand. And that is exactly what the Foundation did in the next addendum, Addendum 6000.4, Fusiad Responses. SCP Overcom, after hearing that from SCP-6000-A, authorized an operation known as Operation Black Star, which started on December 27th, 2030. That's what it is. Operation Black Star was basically that every single MTF on the entire world were performing simultaneous raids on Serpent's Hand locations. So every single known Serpent's Hand safe house was raided by MTFs at the same time. Like, on the same minute. Every single MTF around the world was going into these Serpent's Hand locations. Operation Black Star was executed successfully the day after. However, there are 57 locations currently known to the Foundation of Serpent's Hand members. Every single location was completely empty. Serpent's Hand is gone from Earth. They're gone. They're not there anymore. So, what does this tells us a lot about, or this is lots of theories and stuff what could technically happen, but keep those thoughts to yourself. I'll keep going. SCP-6000 in the current days that has been passing since the original discovery is now 1 kilometer big, and the exclusion zone was expanded to 3 kilometers around SCP-6000. Director Moose has now published a statement regarding SCP-6000. I'll read it out now. I don't know what precipitated this, but if the library turned against humanity, the situation is going to be dire. It's a completely alien entity to us. We can't even begin to understand why it is or does the things it does. Hell, we don't even know if there's a rhyme or reason to anything. Most Foundation personnel only know the library in the abstract, but I, and a handful of others, have actually stepped foot in the shelves, and we can tell you that it was at once humanity's greatest boon and its greatest threat at the same time. Imagine how much history has been influenced by people getting into the library and bringing back knowledge they would otherwise never have had. Now imagine how fucked we'll be if the source of all knowledge in the universe turns on us. I don't see the story having a happy ending. Director Tilda Moose. Yeah, this is getting serious very, very fast. The library is actively fighting against humanity and the Foundation as a whole. So, after this, Project Fusiad had more aggressive containment efforts against SCP-6000. They have 34 entries in total. Only 3 are in the actual file, and I will read all of them. Proposed containment. Use flame and heat-based weaponry, such as flamethrowers, to incinerate trees affected by SCP-6000. You're in the forest. Very reasonable idea. Result? Affect trees within the exclusion zone proved heat-resistant and rapidly regenerating all burnt matter.
Oh.
What the fuck?
So, tree not burning. Proposed containment 2. Fire highly explosive matter into the mouth of SCP-6000. So, into the library itself. Result? Explosives fail to detonate. All of them.
Bruh.
Proposed containment number 3. Train the Atreus array. And satellite-based SRA system, so the Scranton Reality Anchors. These gigantic... But if you don't know what a Scranton Reality Anchor is, they're basically gigantic orbital satellites that blast radioactive and anomalous radio waves onto Earth that neutralize the effects of reality-bending entities. They were made in part by Dr. Clef, Dr. Clef helped in creating the Scranton Reality Anchors, We'll talk about them more if we talk about another SCP-6000 entry, which I'm very excited. I want to talk about all of them. They're so cool, but it has to wait. But basically, big orbital laser was shot at SCP-6000. Result: SCP-6000 and the exclusion zone completely unaffected. So, no, the Foundation cannot destroy it. They cannot reason with the library. So, what the fuck are they supposed to do? Yeah, things are not looking good. There's another interview conducted with SCP-6000-A and Director Moose. A little bit of, I'll be again abridging it heavily. Basically, they're talking about, they basically revealing that, Moose was at the library at one point, and that she's now in the SCP Foundation, etc., etc. More stories you can read for yourself. But the last piece that SCP-6000-A says is, yes, all the stories that see you with the Foundation staring down the end of the world, they have the book burners by their side. I suppose there's something to say there. Rivals, allying themselves against the greater threat that either could imagine. Smoking ash, a fusillade of fire against a wall of trees. Moose is very confused because how the fuck did SCP-6000-A know about Project Fusillade? But the SCP-6000-A refused to elaborate further, and so the interviews ended. She mentioned book burners, and that's exactly what happened. Foundation and the GOC was now working together on SCP-6000. The vote, there was a vote by Overwatch Command about the GOC's inclusion in the SCP-6000 containment project. The O5 Council voted O5-6 and O5-12 abstained. O5-4, 7, 8, and 13 said no, and the rest said yes. The vote went 7-6, so very close, but it was approved. And now the GOC and the Foundation works together on SCP-6000. Immediately after this vote was cast, some diplomatic agents were deployed to the GOC's main operating base, which is in Germany, and a meeting was cast on how the GOC should help with SCP-6000. After some not so happy discussions, a plan was formed. Immediately, GOC Physics, Psyche, and Ptolemy divisions were transported to Facility 57 and to aid in research and containment for SCP-6000, which is now, by the way, has expanded to 2 kilometers across. Due to the failure of Fire Team Chicago, the GOC said, "We'll handle this," and a strike team and Strike Team 9842, called Probable Cause, was dispatched into SCP-6000 for a rapid surgical strike. very GOC-like. They basically like racked their weapons and said, "Let's go, let's fuck them up." That's the GOC way. The operation was called Operation Harbor, and the fire team was moving towards SCP-6000. They walked further and further into the jungle, and then after clearing some foliage, they discovered this.
Damn.
Oh.
The library is now basically not just altering the terrain, but it is forming inside of our reality. That is how SCP-6000 or the library enters our current reality. So it's gotten much more extreme in the past couple of days. The harbor team went further and further, and then suddenly heard the same hissing that was in the Chicago raid. So, of course, the GOC immediately shot at the voice. It was nothing. They shot at trees. And the voice kept saying, "You are not, why are you here? What do you want from us here?" And after the thing is that it looked Harbor 2, so one of the agents, directly in the eyes from the trees. and Harbor 2 forgot why they're here. And then sooner or later, every Harbor member forgot why they're there and they stopped speaking. And the voice says, quote, "Because you wanted to see what the other side of the fade was like. Don't worry, curiosity is a virtue. Once I saw a patron here, desperately consumed with questions about the logic of the library. He wanted to know how infinity worked, how it was possible the library could be truly infinite. Where did the space come from? From stories, of course. The library takes finished stories into its shelves and takes finished worlds into itself, often one and the same. You are book burners, but you are pure of heart, little children. Ordered around by men who hate what is going to happen to their story. You are welcome here, all of you. You've survived for a reason, both of you." Yeah, so basically, these two GOC agents, what we can get from these, they were not completely down with the GOC's desire to kill or to destroy the library. So that voice basically opened up their minds and said, you know, you are welcome in the library. You have a pure heart. You care for stories and you care for the worlds. Come here and we will take you. And they did. They went to the library and now they're inside of them as disciples.
Oh, awesome.
After Harbor's signal cut out, so after they were consumed by the library, SCP-6000 exhibited rapid growth rate, growing past 3 kilometers in size in a matter of 2 hours. Foundation solutions began being considered. Now we get to my favorite part of this article. Addendum 6000.7, Veil Failure. If you know about the Foundation Veil Protocol, this is really fucking bad. After Operation Harbor, several radio signals began broadcasting from SCP-6000 and every single other way on the entire planet. The message contained therein was the same feminine hissing that these military members heard, and she was whispering the exact coordinates of SCP-6000's epicenter and the phrase called "the garden is the serpent's place." The Foundation tried to silence these radio signals. They were not successful, and within hours, global media outlets and news channels broadcasted the signal to the major public. We got a broken masquerade scenario on our hands.
Oh, hell yes. Of those.
Yep. The Foundation failed to contain or to make SCP-6000 to contain its existence. And now, the Wall Street Journal magazine and The Guardian published headlines of SCP-6000, and many other online message boards and communication servers started talking about the Brazilian anomaly. Some of these are as follows. By a message board member, this is a sentence or like a comment made by a message board member. You guys see the pictures coming out of Brazil? MSM is probably gonna get a hold of it by tomorrow and suppress the story, but it's insane. I have no clue what the hell is going on in the Amazon, but the pictures make it look like some sort of oil slick. Looks kind of beautiful. And an answer by another member, yep, turns out I'm not insane. My friends have been hearing it on their car radios and HAMs too. A woman's voice sort of nasally repeating numbers, coordinates I think, and the words "the garden is the serpent's place." Sounds biblical, maybe a passphrase of some sort. And here's the kicker. If you look on Google Earth for anything for the coordinates, everything's fine, it doesn't show up anything. But if you use a backdoor to get into the wildlife observation cameras, it's a different story. The cameras went offline after, but I managed to save this image. Starting to think someone should go down there. This could be big. So yeah, the world knows about SCP-6000 now, and about the Foundation in general. Very not good. Like,
yeah,
that is the main thing that the Foundation wants to preserve, its secrecy. And it has not managed it. So, after the entire world knows about SCP-6000, lots of groups attempted to reach the exclusion zone over the next couple of weeks. All of them were amnesticized by the Foundation, but due to their disappearance, a larger movement of the conspiracy theory was formed, because you know how conspiracies work and how the internet works. this shit spreads like wildfire. Basically, people who know, the more and more people know about SCP-6000, the larger the actual SCP grows. It is now 6 kilometers in diameter. After a few days, on January 21st, 2031, Agent Macmillan, or Chicago 1 from the original NTF raid, was missing. He left a note inside of his office, and Director Moose found it a little bit later. The note reads, "Story, Tilly. I used to spend weeks in the library shelves, pursuing everything I could come across. It was otherworldly, in the most literal sense of the word. I'm sure you can understand the feeling. The difference is that you couldn't go in. You made the choice between library and Foundation. When I first entered, it was just a mission. I experienced something amazing, something well beyond what I thought was ever possible. And I thought it was a damn shame that we looked at something so magnificent and only worried how it would hurt us. I could see now that that's not the case. The librarians are only hurting the people that try to stop the expansion. I have no intention of doing that. This is the end of the story, not the one where we come up with a silver bullet to fix everything. The only thing I could do is to change how I feel about it. I just want to sit here in the shelves and see the false starts again. I think I found my happy ending. Agent Macmillan." Yeah, so he is just gone. He yeeted to the library. He was saying, "Fuck the Foundation. This is fucking stupid. I'm going to read. Fucker, see you later." Yeah. Another interview with SCP-6000-A was casted, and Director Moose said, people are leaving the facility. They're basically brainwashed by the library. And SCP-6000-A, being as cryptic as she is, she's, talking about all these stories and tales and shit and how it all works in the grand scheme of the universe and stuff. Director Moose does not want to know anything of this. And so the interview is cut short after a few minutes later. Now we get to containment, words, to Addendum 6000.8, ongoing containment attempts. So, the situation. The veil is broken, and the library is starting to form against the Foundation. The entire Amazon rainforest has been quarantined and is under control by the Foundation and the GOC. SCP-6000 has expanded to 13 kilometers in length and growing rapidly. The O5 Council is starting to develop plans for a BM-class Broken Masquerade scenario. So they're basically preparing for the structure of the Foundation. That's basically what they're planning. However, this is where the article ends. But remember, we got a second revision to look at. And we will look at it right now. It is the same format. It's still Project Fusiad, SCP Foundation Global Coalition Joint Clearance File. But certain things have changed. Let me read the SCP item number. Item number, SCP-6000. Object class, Apollyon. Special containment procedures. Containment of SCP-6000 has failed. All Foundation and Fusiad personnel left on Earth should report to their site's HMCL supervisor to receive further instructions. The Foundation fucked up. The Foundation could not contain SCP-6000. It is an Apollyon class SCP now. They have given up. The Foundation has basically given up.
Oui.
SCP-6000 is now an entire section of the Earth that has turned into the Wanderer's Library. SCP-6000 covers the entire Western Hemisphere, and that is 58% of the planet.
Holy fuck!
Half of the fucking world is now the library. All infrastructure and people inside SCP-6000 are considered lost and unrecoverable. The Veil Protocol is to be disregarded. Current containment of SCP-6000 has changed to evacuate the rest of Earth's population to space or another world. So, we done fucked up. It is hypothesized that the library will cover the entire planet in 2.5 weeks.
Jesus fuck.
Yeah. This is the picture that was adjacent to the article. It was made from a Foundation space station.
Jesus fucking Christ.
The world
Wow.
is getting devoured by the Wanderer's library. And we have one more addendum to read. Addendum 6000.1, final log. This is an audio broadcast that was from Facility 57, before it was consumed by SCP-6000. All personnel from the facility have been evacuated, with the exception of SCP-6000-A and Director Moose. So, there's one last interview between Moose and 6000-A. I'll paraphrase it again, but I will try and read everything basically. It's always, so just so that you know what is what, it's Moose first, then 6000-A. So it goes like this. So what happens now? What do you mean? We wait. What else is there to do? Nothing, I suppose. We'll wait. Then what are you worried about? I'm not quite sure. You really shouldn't worry, Moose, you know? Why is that? Leaving this world is not as scary as it sounds. I think you're understanding what's about to happen. What's about to happen then? This is what always happens. This is natural. No, the hell with that. There's nothing natural about this. The world is being eaten alive. We're sitting, watching the apocalypse, and we can't do anything about it. Do you think there's going to be anything after this? I don't believe in God, if that's what you're saying. Anyone who works at the Foundation and still believes in God has more faith than the fucking Pope. That's not what I'm asking. What do you think is going to happen after the way covers the world? There's just going to be nothing? Of course. It's subsuming the world, replacing it. That's where you're wrong, Director. What? SCP-6000-A lights a cigarette with her finger. I don't understand, Director. You know, on a logical level, that the sun is going to burn out one day. You go through every day of your life, through the motions, knowing that there is a shelf life on the universe. There is always an ending. Yeah, but those are natural? The slow, agonizing heat of the universe, watching every star go dark one by one as they no longer find themselves capable of exploring into existence? What makes it more natural than this? This has always been the Foundation's fatal flaw, an ability to adapt and survive. It changes nothing. It changes everything, Tilda. We all live and work knowing nothing goes on forever, but we don't letting know that there is an end ruin to the story for us. And here's the part that matters. There are always more stories. I don't understand. The library is all stories. Where there was once a story about a foundation and their valiant stand down at the end of the world, there will be 1,000 million new stories and 1,000 million new worlds inside them. The library doesn't connect to all worlds. It is all worlds. Every world has a story. Every story has a world. And everything that matters. So it's not out of control. This is the end of the story and we're becoming part of the library. I suppose you could put it that way. Didn't you want to visit the library again? You seemed like you missed it. Agent McMillan certainly did. Now come on, unlock these handcuffs. You don't want to miss the end of the world, do you? What are you waiting for? So, what? Nothing I or Adam could have done that would have stopped it? It was all pointless? The point was the same thing that it's ever been. To make new stories where there was once nothing. Be happy, Director. Your story is going to be remembered forever. This is probably one of the coolest things in the article, because now we have a choice. We can choose what Moose is saying. And I'll leave that choice up to you. What do you want, people? You two guys. Suru, what do you want? What's the
go with the right one.
You think people will read about us?
Let's
Let's
go.
go with that.
Fuck it, let's go.
We will choose this one, and we'll go to a section in the Wanderer's Library website titled SCP-6000. I'll read it all. SCP-6000-A smiled, a snake-like laugh, and waggled a finger at her through the handcuffs. Director, we've been over this. You don't get to pick the ending of the story. She looked down. But you do get to pick how you decide to take it. You can sit down and weep that the old stories you grew to love are gone, or you could smile and move on to the next shelf. She looked back up. They weren't in holding cell B918 anymore. They were standing between two gargantuan bookshelves that seemed to go on forever, before suddenly diverging into more bookshelves. Every space was filled with the spine of a different book, massive tomes of paper-shin leaflets. There were people of all shapes and sizes in robes sitting there, pursuing the collection. The sky was a black void dotted with constellations. She could smell the scent of fresh paper. SCP-6000-A says, "Welcome home, jailer." 6000-A was gone. In its place is a young Asian woman, maybe 5 feet tall, with a tattoo of a snake wrapped around the wrist on her forehead. She found her voice again. How? I've been telling you, Director, the library is the end of your story, but it doesn't have to be a bad thing, because you get to move on to the next story. She gestured her arm on a few of the patrons, and they looked up. A few shrugged off their hoods. It was Adam, Vasquez, Kurse, Bardem, and Flores, everyone that was lost in the SCP-6000 raids. The director even thought some of the O5s were in the crowd. The end isn't death, Tilly. You were stubbornly clinging to that idea for so long. The director was confused. There'll be new stories? More worlds for the Foundation? With me? Everything we fought for? Everything we did? The Asian woman looked up and chuckled. There already are. So, she reached over and pulled out a book with a soft grey cover. The font was embossed with SCP-6000 in ornate lettering. Get to reading then. She looked around the impossibly huge library. In the distance, she spotted the same giant insect that greeted her when the fire team first went in. It waved a pincer at her. Moose whispered, "I think this is it." The Asian woman was confused. This is what? My happy ending. And this is it. This is the ending of SCP-6000. What do you think?
This
Fuck.
is fucking awesome, if I may swear.
It is so fucking sick. You can swear on this show, I don't care.
We're
It's
past the 10-minute mark.
Oh yeah, definitely. It is so cool. Also, the first line, "You don't get to pick the ending of our story." The second option links to the same fucking article. You don't get to pick the ending of our story. Like, she says it herself. You do get to pick how you decide to take it, but the ending is always the same.
Wow.
This is the biggest. This is why I love this shit. It is the biggest brain stuff ever.
That's
love
fucking
this.
me.
It's so cool. And it is so fucking awesome. This is the ending. This is SCP-6000. I think a worthy contender of SCP-6000.
Very much so.
A worthy contender. But this is SCP. We got some links.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
When
We
do
got
we
some
not
links.
have links?
We'll start with the coolest shit. Because there are 3 links in total in the Wanderers Library thing. There is With Me, when Moose asks about if there will be more stories. That Get to Reading part is also a link, and ending. The word ending is also a thing. The coolest things are the Get to Reading and ending. She says, you know, there already are. And she hands Moose like a book with SCP-6000 written on it. And when you click on Get to Reading, you are transported to the SCP-6000 entry page, where you can read on every single 6000 SCP.
Oh.
Jesus.
You get linked to the SCP Series 7 page because Get to Reading, there are more stories. It's cool. And also, My Happy Ending. The ending link links you to the front page of the Wanderers Library. Because that is your ending. You are in the library. Better go read up.
Jesus. Fuck.
It's so cool. It's so fucking cool.
Mind fuck.
Next up, now the With Me link. I think I already told Silver, so he might know what we're talking about next, because With Me links to another article, a very important article. It links to Roundhouse's proposal, Memento Mori.
Oh yes.
We're back with Memento Mori. I've also said we're not doing a whole episode on Memento Mori. We will use it as kind of like this piece of lore that will jump back to where we talk about the different characters. Because it is all about characters. So we'll jump back to it. We'll not do like an episode on Memento Mori, but we'll be using it as a jump back to get more information on different characters. And just to recap, Memento Mori basically is a collection of 13 different anomalous areas inside the original Site-01 house that was created by the administrator. And there's an entry for every single O5 member in there. And if we look at the O5 members, O5-4, the description for SCP-001-4 SCP-001-4 is a private library located in the west wing of Site-01. It contains a variety of texts, books, all concerning various anomalous phenomenon. While most of these books have been written, some will be written at some point in the future, or have never existed at all, and thus do not technically exist. So yeah, this is a part of the Wonders Library that has been yeeted into Site-01.
Pocket dimension. Yeah.
Exactly. However, there is a administrator. If we go down to the graveyard where 0513 is, and we look at the headstone for 054, it reads, "Here lies Tilda Moose. Didn't know what she had until she gave it away. Died trying to get it back." This throws a little bit of a curveball into us because Tilda Moose in 6000 is director of Site 19, but here she's 054.
I mean,
So either this is like a different universe, like a different pocket dimension, or like a different timeline where Moose wants to get back into the library but can't because she was exiled, because she died because she planned a ritual to get the Wanderer's Library into Site-01. The ritual succeeded, but she was killed in the process. And she also drew inside of that part. She drew lots of crude drawings were made by Tilda Moose, kind of like some sketches of what the library looks like or looked like, and what the people inside the library looked like. It's uploading currently because it's a big picture. There is the picture should be there in a second. Now there it is. That's some of the drawings that were made by Tilda for like the pages are on the right. The library is on the left. Down there is the big centipede creature, the archivists. Like, she was desperately trying to get back into the library, but died during a ritual. This is also another cool thing. You remember when the 05 Council had those votes? 054 always said no. And 054 is Tilda Moose in the fucking proposal. But she, in 6000, she's not. She's a director of Site 19.
I mean,
so this
both.
either... Yeah, what is it?
She could be both. I mean...
Yeah, she could be both. She could be director of Site 19 and 05 at the same time. And because the thing that's probably gives it away is because in the 6000 article on the Wanderer's Library, it says she recognizes the 05. Site directors don't know the 05. No one knows the 05 except the 05 and the administrator and Red Right Hand. So she's probably director of Site 19 and 054 at the same time. So my theory, personally, is that Memento Mori, or the timeline in Memento Mori, is basically, like, these are the original 05 Council. This is the original 05. SCP-6000 is a different story. Like I said, library, it is old stories. SCP-6000 is a different universe where the Foundation basically tried to fight against the library, but the library just wanted, to take them in. And the Memento Mori timeline is a timeline where humanity was casted outside of the Wanderer's Library for good, and Moose wanted to desperately get back because she knew what they lost. Kind of this thing's going on. But that is basically my theory, that, because like the Asian woman said, there is a million other stories for the Foundation because of the because that's how the library works, basically.
It's infinite. Of course, there are a million other stories.
Exactly, yes, it's the library. And with that concludes our episode on SCP-6000. It is a fucking phenomenal article. Rounderhouse did an insanely good job of writing it. They were always like, Rounderhouse and Cactus were kind of neck and neck on who gets number one. Rounderhouse won by, I think, like 30 votes. So it was very close. Yes. And at one time, Cactus had more votes than Rounderhouse. So it looked like Cactus won. But no, Cactus got number 2 and is now SCP-6066, which...
Alone, right?
No. Not now. It's the longest single article in the entire wiki. I will not be doing it. Maybe some other day. Maybe when we talk about the Cactus verse at SCP-4840. But that comes later.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that is SCP-6000. What do you think of it?
fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, loved it.
That's all I can really say.
Oh yeah, it expands a lot on the library's lore because we now know that the library is the library back in our episode was like only this weird the pocket dimension that like was just a connection to every other universe. But now we know that the library is the center of every other universe. It is actually where every other universe originates from.
And where it all returns if the stories end.
Exactly. Yes, it is the beginning and the end, the alpha and omega of the entire SCP multiverse.
And now we know how the stories get into the library. It gets consumed, basically. If the stories end, the world gets consumed by the library's way.
Exactly, yes. The world ends and the world turns into a section of the library because the library, for every story, there is a world to be transported into the Wondrous Library. That is how all things go. It is basically the constant coming up and dying of worlds all around the universe. This is a natural process that the Foundation just didn't want to accept. So now, but we did learn that it's not a bad thing because you don't die. You go to the library and you wait until another story opens for you. It's pretty cool. It's pretty wholesome also a little bit.
Very
I
nice.
like that welcome home jailer.
What's the phrase? Sweet and sour or sour and sweet? What's the fucking phrase? Can't remember.
I know what you want to say.
Bittersweet. That's
Yeah,
right.
it's bitter. It's bittersweet. Yeah, it's a bittersweet ending for SCP-6000. Amazing SCP. Like I said, fucking phenomenal. I'll probably, like I said, we'll do our big project first, and then we'll probably do another thing after because I have something planned for after. But that's besides the point. But we'll be doing a lot more SCP-6000 entries, definitely. First big project coming out in just a few weeks, so be very, very excited and happy for that one when we finally get out. But yeah, this has been SCP-6000. This has been our episode. I hope I did it justice, and I hope I did the readings particularly well because it is a very well-written SCP. I've left out some of the more details of SCP-6000, and there also are some little stories that are still, for example, there is a story where how basically Tilda got out of the library, how she was exiled. I didn't cover that one, so that you can research it on your own. Very good story, like every other part is. But yeah, that's basically it. So, yep, like I said, this is it. Thank you all so much for listening. If you like this episode, consider supporting us either by subscribing to our channel or following us on Twitter, where I just continuously shitpost and basically call out other SCP YouTubers for being weak. But that's besides the point. Yep. So, yeah, like I said, thank you all so much again for listening, and see you next time. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.